This is ginger. This is the raw ginger. A lot of people have not used raw ginger. Mostly what people use is what they find in the spice section. But this is a very versatile rhizome. It's not a root, it's a rhizome. If you have iris, that's what they have, are rhizomes. But this is a rhizome that we can eat. Ginger originated in China, and China is still the largest producer of ginger, and that's why we associate it with Asian cooking. It is now available in almost all markets. So I want to show you how all the ways we can find it in the store, and then I'm going to show you how to take care of the raw one. So down here I have crystallized ginger. Some people call it sugared ginger. It is ginger pieces that are coated with sugar. Great way to have it. Goes into desserts really well. Makes great tea. So that's that way. Then we also have powdered ginger, which is probably the way that most people use it. Because in the recipes, and it's for sweet things like pumpkin pie, and then you can also use it with meats. So it's a very, very versatile spice. And you can buy ginger that is all chopped up in a little jar. This is really nice because they get it finer, then you'll be able to do it at home. So if you don't want any pieces, you don't want to find any pieces in it, this is the way to go. And then there's the raw ginger found in the produce section. Now, a lot of people think of ginger just for the Asian kinds of cooking, but it is actually used in a lot of different ones. So I've already taken the end off of this so you could see the inside. It is really meaty. It's yellowish in color, and it has a very, very thin skin, so you can barely see that skin all the way around. So the nutrition and the taste from ginger is right under the skin, the best place for it. So I want to show you how to scrape off the skin so you don't waste any of the nutrition and especially the taste. So we're going to use this one that I've cut so you can see what I'm doing. But you want to take a spoon. I prefer the tablespoon because of my hands. It's easier for me to use. You could use a teaspoon, but you don't want to use one that's much thicker than this. And you just scrape it off, the skin off. That makes it so that only the pieces come off and it doesn't take much of the meat. If you'll notice when you look at this, it's mainly brown on both sides. You don't have much meat. Now, do you always have to peel the ginger? No, you don't. The only time you'd really peel the ginger is if I wanted to use a chunk of it and keep it there, I would take it and be sure that it's scraped off, because if you got this big piece, which you probably would never do one quite this large, but that way it would be it's easier to chew, because you know how it is, skin takes a little more, but it comes off very nicely. Okay. Now, what do you do with it when you want to use it? There's several ways to use the fresh ginger. You can slice it, you can grate it, and then you can dice it. You can also squeeze the juice out of it. I don't do that very much. I find I just put the pieces in. You know how I am, the easy cook. I don't want to do too much work. So I just put the big chunks in and then I take those out instead of juicing it. So I'm going to show you how to slice and dice it now, because it is very wet. It's amazing how much liquid is inside of a chunk of ginger. So let's say we're going to take this piece right here, and I'm going to slice it thinly. If I'm just going to slice it really thinly, I do not need to peel it. And so you just, you follow it. And if you can, I wish you could feel this. This is all very wet, but you see how thin I made that? You can actually kind of see through it. Make it as thin as you can. And the other thing about ginger is that it has fibers in it. And you want to slice it really thinly so that the fibers aren't too thick. So the thinner, the better. Now, if you get sushi at the grocery store, they will have the pickled ginger, and it's pink. And when they add the vinegar to it, this actually turns pink. They aren't adding food coloring. That's just the way it is. And I wish you could see all the little fibers. We need a big magnifying glass. But you can see those. Maybe from the side better. But that's all fiber. But if you slice it thinly, it's okay, and you'll be able to chew it up. Okay, then you might want to dice it, make it further, especially if you were to use it in a marinade, you would want to be sure that it's really thin, because then you have more exposure. And so you just stack it, and you do not have to peel it. It will be fine. You can add this to a marinade, and it will make a nice flavor to it, especially for meats. And actually, even for some vegetables, you just keep adding this. And if you do stir fry, you always want to put some of this in, because it makes the flavor of it all. Okay, now the other thing to do with it, most of the time, is to grate it. Now there's a couple of ways to do that. On any grater that you buy, they have big holes, then they have a slicer, and they usually have tiny holes. And you probably go, what in the world are those tiny holes for? They actually are for ginger. And the reason you want to do it on the small holes is so that the little fibers get chopped up, so you don't have stringy ginger. So you just rub that on there. And on the other side is yours. And if you'll notice down here, all of the juice. This is one of the ways you could juice it. You could do this over a bowl and collect the juice. Now, one of my favorite ways to use it is I have my little gadget that I just think is one of the best things ever invented. And I put this in. It's for slicing. You can use garlic or ginger. Don't have to peel it. And then you just slice it up. And I don't have very many gadgets in my kitchen, but I have this gadget. And then you take that off, and it will have sliced up all of the little fibers. So that's how to take care of getting it really small, so you can put it into dishes. Now, most of the time, you do not put it in straight into, if you're going to make a dish. There's a cauliflower soup recipe that adds it, but they don't put that first into the oil and heat it up really a lot. They usually add that later, because you don't want to burn up the ginger. And most recipes add it in later, whether they're adding the powder or they're fresh. Now, when you're looking for it in the stores, you want to be sure that it's smooth, not wrinkly, not stained, and you take this home. You can leave it at room temperature for almost 3 or 4 days, and there's more ways to store this, and I go through that on my website. This is Frozen, and I teach you all that on my website about ginger.